This is Ali Farokhmanesh, head coach of the Colorado State Rams, and you're listening to the Talking Grammar podcast, and this is episode number 114.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal, and as you just heard, this is the Talking Grammar podcast, episode 114, with new Colorado State head coach Ali Farokhmanesh. And he is the kind of one of the no-brainer hires of the offseason, if you will. He was a longtime assistant at CSU. I've gotten to know through the years. Really cool guy, really nice guy, popular guy in Fort Collins and around the league, and was a longtime assistant to Nico Medved there at CSU. And once Nico moved on, got the Minnesota job in the Big Ten. It was kind of an easy decision. If you ask me, it was probably easy. I guess I didn't go through the decision-making process. I don't know how easy it was, but he was sort of a no-brainer hire, if you ask me. And I think a lot of people there in Fort Collins, they did still do a search, did check the boxes, do some diligence or their due diligence, and came to the right conclusion in a lot of people's mind. And Ali Farokhmanesh is the guy at Colorado State now. Most people know him and know the name for the shot he hit 15 years ago. A lot of people around Fort Collins are certainly getting to know him for a whole lot more. He is a good basketball coach. He's a great basketball mind, a good family guy. Wife and kids, he is very open with the community and involving them in his identity as Colorado State's basketball coach and for years assistant coach. And I think that's something that will endear him to the community. And obviously, just like anybody else, you got to win some games to keep that goodwill up. But right now, everybody around Colorado State seems pretty excited that he is the head man. At the end of the interview with him, I want you to stick around just for a minute. I had a 505, what's up in 505 with UNM women's soccer coach Heather Dyke that I will run. I recorded it prior to their exhibition match last week with UTEP. They won that match 4-1, but it's really more of an outlook on the season ahead, which starts this week in earnest. It is a regular season match, and UTEP, future Mountain West member, lost 4-1 to this UNM Lobo team. So this UNM Lobo team has a chance, a unique position for the Lobo soccer team in that they got 2 first-place votes in the preseason poll, and yet they were picked 7th. So a lot of varying opinions in the coaches poll. Some have them, 2 of them have them high enough to win it, and apparently the points counteracted, where a lot of them must have them ranked pretty low to pull their points down to an average out of 7th in a 13-team league. So it'll be interesting to see what this UNM Lobo women's soccer team does. So after the interview with Ali, let's stick around, if you would, please, to check out our new podcasts. And for a couple episodes of this Talking Grammar podcast, I'm going to add those What's Up in 505 podcasts, just so you can kind of see the new concept and see what those are about. You can also get that on the Journal's YouTube page. And for those interested in this podcast and all the podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal podcast network, I do ask you to please subscribe, if you can, to the Albuquerque Journal. You can subscribe to the print edition, the digital edition, or a combination of both. abqjournal.com/subscribe. That's how you help out local journalism, how you help out the Albuquerque Journal specifically, and that helps out this podcast network, which is a free podcast network, be it here on YouTube if you're watching video-wise, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, which I still refer to as iTunes, wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. It is a free product that is helped out tremendously by subscribers. So please do so. For now, to give us a little bit of a scouting report, if you will, my new kind of, I guess, piece to this podcast puzzle is I've added a scouting report where I find somebody who knows today's guest or this episode's guest and can answer 3 questions for us. It's the same 3 questions every show. The person I leaned on for this episode, somebody who knows him pretty well now. They're coworkers, and he's been at UNM for past several years until this past season's coaching change at UNM. But Dave Pilipovich, the former Air Force head coach and former UNM assistant coach, who is now an assistant coach at Colorado State University. Dave Pilipovich is going to give us a scouting report with Colorado State's new men's basketball coach, Ali Farokhmanesh. All right, we're joined by Coach Dave Pilipovich. Coach, first of all, how's Fort Collins been?
You know, Fort Collins has been great. It's a beautiful community, and obviously the people at CSU have been wonderful and welcomed us, and we're just enjoying this next journey, and wherever it takes us, we're excited to be a part of it.
I am, as I told you, interviewing on this episode, your, I guess, new colleague, Ali Farokhmanesh, who there's still an awful lot of people who know him from a basketball shot 15 years ago. And
Right.
I don't know how well you knew him beforehand, before going up there to work. But I figured there's a few people that I would call to check in and get a scouting report on him. And I think you certainly fit that bill, especially with the close connections to the Albuquerque crowd that are primarily is going to watch us. I know a lot of CSU fans will watch too, but I'm going to get right to it, and I'm going to ask you, first question I ask people on these scouting reports: what's one thing that everybody knows, or you knew before you knew him well, you already knew about Coach Farokhmanesh?
And you mentioned it. It's the shot. I mean, when you talk about the NCAA tournament, and they go back to the Bryce Drew shot and in the different games of one at the buzzer. I mean, how do you not root for Northern Iowa and Coach Ali making that shot against Kansas, sent Bill Self home? I mean, that was, and it's back in the day where I love the baggy shorts, and he nails a three and has the what to take that shot and transition and bang it, and what a thrill that was, and that shot will live forever.
Is that not one of those shots that coaches are like, no? I mean, it was early in the shot clock. They were up one and could have killed some clock and got some free throws,
right.
But he was wide open. Why is a guy
that's
like you said, that like his mindset was like, I'm open, I'm taking the shot.
No doubt. So, and that's what's neat about him. That's who he is. I mean, that's who he is.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is he a little bit that way? I mean, if you're open, you take the shot. Like there's a confidence about him, isn't there?
And he's displayed that to our team in the short period of time that we've been together, and it's refreshing, and it's neat to see, and I think it's a welcome by the players who have an opportunity to play for him.
That's awesome. He's still, I mean, look, that's 15 years ago. He still fits the bill as like one of those coaches that is still young enough and relatable to those players that like they all probably think he could probably still play a little bit. He's got the young bullish. Can he still play a little bit?
And I think he can still make that shot today, to be honest with you.
All right. Second question I asked people on the scouting report. I don't know how well you knew him beforehand, or how well you know him so far since you've been working with him.
Yeah.
But even as well as you do know him and all that, like, what's one thing that almost nobody knows that maybe you didn't know until recently, but what's one thing almost nobody knows about him?
I think it is his parents. And when you have a chance, you'll probably meet them, or you may have met them. His mom and dad are exceptional people, but also very highly successful college coaches in women's volleyball. His mom was a head coach for 30 plus years, and his dad was her assistant every step of the way. And they had great stints at places like Washington State, and they started Weber, and then were at UNLV, and took many of teams to the NCAA tournament, were successful in the NCAA tournament, had a Sweet 16 run. But I don't know if everybody knows, he may not be the most successful coach in the family right now yet. He'll get there, but mom and dad have done a great job along the way, and were very successful and did some wonderful things in the college athletic world.
So he's probably, I mean, look, I know he's got the little ones too running around. What sport are they going to play? Are they basketball players or are they volleyball players?
I think they'll probably do a little bit of everything. His oldest son now is probably more actively involved just because he's at that age, and I think he's got a career ahead of him, a future ahead of him. He's got some talent. And Ali's wife was a very successful college volleyball player. She was really successful in her own right. So there's some good genes those kids have right now.
That's awesome. All right, third and final question is: if you were doing what I'm doing, if you were about to interview him, what's one question you might ask him?
Okay, I'm gonna put him on the spot here a little bit, because when I got there, he gave me the opportunity to take over the scheduling, and as you know how challenging that is, and unfortunately, we're going to separate here after this year. So I want to know what teams in the Curtin Mount West, who will stay in the Mount West, that he wants to schedule in non-conference games as we move forward.
I was going to say, you're laying it up perfectly for this Lobo crowd, because the Lobos obviously would love to play. Certainly Colorado State, San Diego State would be the two at the top of the list, I think.
Right. There's a team that wears cherry and silver, and that's had tons of success, and their fan base is unbelievable. And I wonder if he would welcome playing that team.
Well, Snake would welcome him. Snake would
I
welcome
know,
him back.
I know. I'm waiting for that answer. I'll anticipate a great answer on that one.
I'm gonna put him on the spot. That's a good one. I like that, Coach. I appreciate you for doing this. I look forward to touching base with you during the season too, and kind of seeing how things are going at Colorado State. You know the league as well as anything. There's only one more league year in this current
Yeah.
makeup, obviously, but yeah, you were as good an off-season transfer portal pickup as anybody in the Mountain West had.
I don't know about that. I'm just excited to keep doing what I love and to be at places that appreciate basketball. And our time in Albuquerque was awesome. And now as we transition to Fort Collins, we're looking for the same type of feeling that we'll get. And we're looking to the future.
Coach, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you now.
All right, there you go. There's Dave's scouting report, if you will, on Ali Farokhmanesh, the Colorado State head coach. And without a whole lot of further ado, I am going to bring those up, by the way, when I speak to Coach here in just a moment. But without further ado, let's get to it. Here's my interview with Colorado State's new men's basketball coach, Ali Farokhmanesh. Let's get rolling with you, man. Like, this is obviously a unique time for you, I would think, just because this is the first time in a basketball lifers. Well, I guess I don't know about you've always been doing basketball, but you've been doing basketball long enough where you're a basketball lifer in my mind. And this is the first time you've done all this, where you are the head coach of a college team. What's that been like, man?
Yeah, I've only been a head coach one time. It was during COVID when we didn't know if we were going to play any sports or anything, and so I got to be my oldest son now's first and second grade flag football coach. So that prepared me for this moment. But
it's a real similar. I'm sure Snake was at a lot of those flag football games.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I did almost get into it with a dad once, but that's a whole different. That's a whole other story. But yeah, it's basketball's been it's been my whole life. I think college sports has probably been my whole life, even more so than basketball. Just with my parents being coaches, I've grown up going to college events literally my entire life since I was 1 year old. Went to volleyball matches, basketball games, soccer games, football. I mean, I've been around a college campus literally my entire life. That's all I've really known. So to now be in this seat in that atmosphere, it's different, but I have been a witness of it for a long time, watching my parents do it as head coaches, watching Nico, watching Tim Miles, even so I'm not even talking about my parents, but getting to watch Kevin Eastman, Kelvin Sampson, Paul Graham, the Bennetts, when we were at Washington State, watching them as coaches as well. I've kind of been watching it from afar since I was literally 1 year old. It's definitely different when you're in that seat now, but I really have been watching it growing up my entire life.
How long through all that process was coaching kind of a consideration? Obviously, early on, it's all about playing, and I'm going to be a player. But like, when do you think you realized coaching was probably going to be a part of the long term?
Well, if you ask my wife, I told her I was going to be a financial advisor at first, so she's kind of mad about that still. But it was I want to say like I was 100% going to go into coaching. It just got to a certain point where I couldn't see myself being away from basketball. And then I love the development piece of it. I love the aspect of watching people grow and change over time. And so for all those reasons, it kind of just led to this was the next step for me. And then it makes it easier when your parents, you grew up watching them do it your whole life. So the transition of how things work, how you go about it, watching programs develop since I was literally 2 years old. I've seen it for 35 years. In some ways, I have 35 years of experience in a different kind of way.
False pretenses on the whole marriage thing. Like she thought she was getting into a stable, calm financial advisor life, and here you are now trying to get Moby to go crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So not exactly the same job, but she's been awesome. It's definitely hard on your family at times because you're gone long stretches. You're at recruiting events. Sometimes you're spending time with other people's kids more than your own kids and helping them grow and develop. So she does a great job of helping me balance both of my coaching side of it, our team, CSU, the program, with my family as well. And I think I have to have that balance. And I think she does an amazing job of keeping me balanced.
I'm going to walk through some of your coaching influences in just a minute. I can't believe we're this deep into a podcast with you where I haven't done the cliche question that you've been asked for 15 straight years, a million times. But how often does the lazy question of, hey, what about the shot, come up? How often do you bring it up? And are you in any way tired of it at this point?
It's usually an opening statement for me. Like, have you seen it yet? But no, it doesn't get brought up as much as it used to be honest. I think the shelf life is dying on it now. Baggy shorts, the pixelated images, no one cares as much anymore. But honestly, if I'm back in Iowa or with my friends, like, they'll bring it up every once in a while. But most kids don't even, like, when we're in a recruiting process, like, I don't think they know I played. I don't. When you see me in person, I don't give off this big vibe like I played Division I college basketball. So that's kind of depressing when that happens, when players don't, like, not even that they haven't seen it. It's more so that they don't think I played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's more hurtful than actually them not seeing the play or whatever. But it gets brought up every once in a while. And no, I don't get sick of it because it brings back great memories. It's not even so much the memory of the play or that game. It's more the memories of that season and that team in Northern Iowa and all those experiences that go into it, and reliving those relationships that I had with all my teammates and with people back in Cedar Falls and at Northern Iowa. And it's special for me that Coach Jake is still the coach there, and some of the staff is still there that was there when I was there. And I think that's what makes it special to me, and that's why it's not that it wouldn't be home if they weren't there, but it adds a different element when I can go back and, man, that's my head coach that I played for that's still the coach there too.
Well, let me follow up that real quick. I have another shot question, but like, I want to talk about your coaching influences a little bit. So let's do that one right there. What did you get, from that experience as a player in college that you kind of are still doing today?
The confidence piece, especially from Coach Jacobson. I think he's so good at instilling confidence in his players. Never second guessed a shot I shot, which if you watch my games, you can see that. Never second guessed it. If you put in the work and you put in the time and he saw it in practice, you do it in games. And so as long as you were practicing that stuff in games and you're working on your game, you could do whatever you want essentially in games. And I think that confidence level that he gave to me is partly why I took that shot against Kansas, where most people would say, like, you shouldn't shoot that. But I had the most confidence because that's what Coach Jake instilled in me. And the funny part is, actually, if you go back to, I think it's November or December, we're playing Iowa State at Iowa State. Big rivalry game, Northern Iowa State. And it's at Hilton Coliseum. It's packed. And I think it was a 2-point game with 38 seconds left. And I get almost the same thing as the Kansas game in some ways. They pitch it ahead to me, and I jack a three with like 37 seconds left. It's not even a great shot. Make it. Now we're up 1. And I think that shot is why he gave me the confidence to shoot that shot, which obviously led to the same type of confidence I had going into that Kansas shot as well. So I will always remember that, and I will always. I hope so. I want to be like that for my players on the sidelines as well, because if you watch Coach, he's straight laced through the whole game. It doesn't change a whole lot. And I want to be that calm, stability, confident person on the sidelines for my players as well.
I've been asking, since there's an entirely new staff here at New Mexico, I've asked, I did a podcast with all 5 of the assistant coaches that I've just met, this off season, and I've asked every single one of them what I'm about to ask you, but it's sort of in the answer you just gave. Could you coach you as a player?
I think so. It's funny. I think you also coach what you didn't do well as a player. So I'm more of a defensive coach. Absolutely. So I would get frustrated with myself. I don't know if I would recruit myself, to be honest. Which I hate saying that, but I'm the 5'11" white dude doesn't excite me as much. But yeah,
you're taking offense to people. Well, I was gonna say you're taking offense that some of your players don't think you played, and here you are saying, I probably, I might not recruit myself.
I'm not recruiting myself even. So, no, I mean, I could coach myself. I don't want to say that like I was probably easy to coach, but I probably was. Like I didn't do much outside of basketball. Like I took care of my grades. Maybe Coach Jake would say something different. But I don't know. I was a coach's kid. I probably wasn't that hard to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I would be pretty easy to coach me.
And in an honest moment through the years, he has never told you that he was on the sideline screaming, no, 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 until it went in.
No, he's never actually said anything about that ever.
Really?
Never once anything. I mean, and I'd be interested to see, like, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever asked him, like, did he truly not want me to shoot that shot?
Yeah.
Or was it just it was just in those 1.5 seconds of the ball went in the net, you were just like, it's okay then.
Yeah, right. It's not like you had a lot of time to kind of contemplate whether that was a good shot or not. I mean, it was over pretty quickly. The shot.
Yeah.
So, and you in this scenario, your team's up 1 with a huge upset on the line, and about 40 seconds left. They pass it ahead to, whoever on your team, and they fire up a 3. You're in that moment going to be calm, cool, and collected as a head coach?
If it goes in. No, and that's what I think. That's one thing with Coach Jake I always appreciate too, is he never judged shot selection on makes and misses.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best thing you can do. Like if you accept that shot when it goes in, well, you got to accept that shot if they miss too.
Right.
Because you're allowing it either way. But I think it was funny. So the Memphis game last year, when we played Memphis in the NCAA tournament, Kyan Evans was 6 for 6. They messed up the numbers because I don't know how it was 6 for 6 or 6 for 7 at one point. And the last 3 that he shot, I mean, he jacked it. And we're up like 11 with 2 minutes to go, or 9. I can't remember exactly. We get the offensive rebound, but he jacks it. And it was a deep one. It was like, didn't need to shoot it. And he looked right at me like he was like, oh, I messed up. And I was like, and I looked at him and I gave him like a shrug, like, man, like I would have shot it too. So I can't really argue with you. And like, that's how I knew in that moment that like I didn't lose my mind on him. I was just like, man, you got to trust your players at some point too. And I can't, if they're always having to think for 0.5 seconds whether I should shoot this shot or not all the time, well, I think they lose confidence, they lose aggressiveness. It doesn't allow them to just go make plays when they feel like they can make them. Now that's my job to put them in situations in practice to feel those things out. But hopefully we do a good enough job that they feel those things, they grow, they get better, and we keep them aggressive and confident going into the games. And maybe I'll sing a different tune when we're shooting 15% from 3 next year at the pit. But as of today, I'm not going to second guess those things because I want our guys to be aggressive. I don't want them thinking about whether I should shoot this shot or not. I want them to feel it. And if they feel like this is the right shot for our team in that moment, then let it rip.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I had Bryce on to Bryce Drew, Grand Canyon University. He's not a new coach at Grand Canyon, of course, but Grand Canyon's new to the Mountain West this year. He has himself a little bit of a March moment as well, obviously, with Valparaiso. Were you a junkie, a hoops junkie enough that you know the Bryce Drew shot well?
Oh, yeah, I used to this probably doesn't make Bryce feel great, but I used to play that in my driveway all the time. Like that was a shot I would go do. Was like throw it up across the court. I'm diving through, let it rip on the side to win the game. That was like Bryce Drew was one of my favorite moments as a kid growing up, and that was my goal. Honestly, it wasn't. I don't want to say the NBA wasn't my goal as a player growing up, but my goal was to make it in the NCAA tournament and win games in the NCAA tournament as a kid. Like that's what I wanted to do because I grew up at Washington State and watching. They never made the tournament when I was there, so I never got to experience it. But like that was my dream. I wanted to be in those moments. I wanted to be in the NCAA tournament, and I lived for the Bryce Drew, the Tyus Edneys, all those magical plays that you grew up watching from the NCAA tournament. That's what I wanted as a kid.
Well, I asked him the same. There are three head coaches in the league right now that I think have had pretty good moments. You and Bryce Drew had moments that still get shown on the highlight reels every year. Steve Alford, of course, has a national championship. That, I don't know if you can condense that to a moment. He probably, if you do, then he probably has the best March moment. I will throw in that the only one really tied directly to the Mountain West is San Diego State's Final Four run, national championship run, actually, game run. And then, since I am in Albuquerque and I do have to show my face here, I'll also point out that the 1983 Jim Valvano moment was in the Pit. And the Pit is as much Lobo basketball as anything, since the Lobos actually haven't ever made a Sweet 16 or anything like that. So those 5 moments, Bryce Drew's shot, your shot, Steve Alford winning a national title, San Diego State making a national title game as a Mountain West member, and then the 1983 Jim Valvano running around looking for someone to hug on the Pit floor. What's the best March moment tied to the Mountain West, if those are your 5 choices?
Yeah, those are our 5 choices. Was Steve Alford's team, was that the last team that went undefeated too?
No, that would have no.
Okay.
I don't know who they lost to, but I want to say that that's a good question, and I don't know. I should know that because I used to write a lot about Steve. I don't think so. I think that was in the
that was earlier.
Isaiah Thomas's late 70s.
I think you're right. I mean, it's hard to argue with a national championship. I mean,
yeah,
it's cool. Like, we went to a Sweet 16, like, beat the number 1 team in the country at the time. Bryce Drew's that's just a legendary shot that I think most not even avid college basketball fans would probably remember, And then the Jim Valvano one, like, I don't know if my wife, who doesn't, I don't know if she could name all 12 teams in the Mountain West. I bet she remembers that moment.
This guy running around the court.
Yeah, I bet she's seen that moment. So, man, that's tough. But you'd have to give it to Coach Alford. I mean, you win a national championship. Like, I don't know what that's. There's nothing else. That's
the goal, right? If that's the goal, and he did it,
absolutely. So I got to give it to Steve in the national championship, and then honestly, probably next would be the San Diego State run, like in the Final Four. I think that's just the Final Four is the next goal after that Sweet 16. Obviously, ours at Northern Iowa was cool because we beat the number 1 team in the country and actually beat UNLV in the round before that too. So I guess double Mountain West ties there. But yeah, you got to give it to Steve. I think that's an easy call.
All right. I will say that when I asked Bryce about his shot, he did say he doesn't get sick of it coming up only because it wasn't. So there's a lot worse things people could remember about me, and if that's the first thing they remember, I'll take it. So
yeah, at least they don't talk about my defense. That's good.
Your defense. I didn't realize there was anything to talk about. And
yeah, there's not. There's nothing to talk about.
When these guys that you coach now, or for the past several years, obviously realize that you did play a little bit. How often do you get out there and show them that you could still play and still shoot a little bit? Can you still shoot a little bit?
I can still shoot a little bit. I messed my shoulder up though right now. Like, I think I have a torn labrum. That's my excuse at least. But I've never lost to a recruit in that specific. I've never lost to a recruit when they come on a visit to play horse. Like, not a single one. So that's everybody. That's Roddy, Zay, John Tonje, like Dominique Clifford. Have not lost to anybody in horse. So, like, yes, I can still beat all of them in horse. And that includes all the guys that are joining right now too. I cannot play though. Like, I'm too scared to go out there and play. Like, I don't want to tear an ACL. I don't want to tear an Achilles. So, like, I don't put myself in those situations anymore.
The Achilles thing is like a common coach sort of. I don't do it anymore because I'm waiting to blow out an Achilles. That's what coaches 100%. Say a lot.
No, I'm not. Like, that's because I've seen so many of my coaching friends do it. Just what you said. I mean, Kyle Green, who's at Iowa State, I remember he was trying to be the little point guard that was played for Marquette way back when I was playing, obviously. Oh, gosh, I can't think of his name. But he was pretending to be him on an outlet pass and just busted out and literally tore it and just rolled instantly. And that picture is still in my head from literally 16 years ago. So that is one of the main reasons I will not play with our guys anymore. And I'm past that now. Like, we used to run scout team, like J.R. Blount, who's an assistant at Iowa State also now that was with us when we first got here. Like, we were on scout team and our scout team was pretty good. Like, we had, like, those are 2 Division I basketball players that both played overseas too. So that was when our scout team was it was pretty good. So that was probably the last time I was really playing a lot. And I was on scout team probably every day at that point.
Well, I'm curious, does it hit the feels harder when you're done playing college or even pro, if you had some, stint overseas or whatever level, when you're done playing, or when you're a coach and it's time to back off just being on the scout team, because that's sort of all right, my body really can't do it anymore. Like, I'll bet some coaches actually take that pretty hard when they can't run scout anymore.
Oh no, it was hard. Like that, I think I always tell young coaches this too. Like when you go through the graduate assistant programs, especially if you're a former player and you just get done, I think that first year being a GA is the hardest, because you can still bust all these dudes on the court all the time, and you look like you're the best player, and you feel like that at times, that you think you can go back and play, and like you want to go back and play because you're like, man, why am I'm not ready to coach. Like, I'm better than all these dudes right here that I'm playing against. Like, I can still play. And then once you get past that first year, then I think you get in this coaching mode and things change. But that first year it was hard. It was hard for me at Nebraska. Like, I wanted to go back and play. And I think every GA that goes through that can probably relate to that moment. But yeah, the first time I realized I had to stop playing scout team was when we always joke around, but we'll do like shell drill 1-on-1 versus the coaches on scout team and stuff. And there'll be a certain player. And like, if they get to stop on us, like, they go nuts on the baseline.
Yeah.
If we score on them, like, the coaches go nuts. And the first, I got the ball and I was like, I can't remember who I was trying to go at, but I was trying to break them down. Like, I hit a tween cross, and then I just fell over and instantly just rolled on the ground. And that was the moment I was like, I don't want to do this, one, because I know I'm about to get hurt. But two, like, that was really embarrassing. And I can still play this clip of me playing. Like, I don't want this to be the image of their guys thinking that this is who I am as a basketball player anymore. So that was kind of I'm done. The scout team is over for me.
That's a tough moment, though, I'll bet.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It's the realization of like, man, I really can't do what I used to do anymore.
Yeah. All right. Nico's been obviously a huge influence on the program, but on you specifically. I don't know at what point this past season you sort of saw that he probably was going to get the opportunity. Curious when you kind of knew that he was moving on, not so much when you got the job. I know that you guys did have a national search. You guys checked all the boxes and all that stuff. But when Nico was moving on, what were your thoughts?
He was always preparing me for the opportunity of this happening. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, there was multiple times I thought it was going to happen. 3 years ago, I thought he was probably going to leave, to be honest.
Yeah.
And didn't. 2 years ago, with Isaiah Stevens last year, I thought there was a chance he was going to leave at that point. When we were 5-5, I did not think he was going to leave this year. So I was not preparing for it at that point. But I don't know if it was probably always just preparing. We never really talked about it in terms of like, yes, I'm leaving, or I'm not leaving. When things came up and whatnot, obviously we'd have discussions of what was happening and how he was thinking about things. But I never really talked about it, especially during this past season. Yeah. And this season was probably the most fun I had coaching, just because from where we were to where we finished and how it happened, it never led to Nico or myself thinking about the future. Like, it was really, we were just in that moment. The only time I really thought about it is when the Mountain West Championship, when we're playing Boise State and their crowd starts chanting Minnesota at us when we're in the huddle. That got a little awkward. But besides that, like,
I was sitting right by that.
Yeah,
their student section was right over my shoulder when that was happening.
Yeah, that was fun.
You can't not hear that.
No, it was after it kind of got a flagrant foul too. So like, we were kind of standing there. We were up 20 or whatever. So like, you didn't really have much to talk about. And it kind of went quiet there. And that's when the crowd started chanting that. And then instantly I was like, all right, guys, what defense should we run next? Even though like we're in man. I'm like, do you like zone? Do you like, I just start talking about random stuff because I'm like, trying to drown it out. Yeah. But no, I think that never really talked about it up until him actually taking the job. And then he always mentioned stuff and whatnot about what was happening. He kept me in the loop on what was going on. But we were so focused with that group that it was so much fun. I mean, when you win that many games in a row, it's hard not to have fun too. So for all of us, I think that's what stinks about the portal and the timing of things too, is like, it was what it was, but we lost on Sunday. We get back at, I don't know, 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And that was the most sober plane flight home. Like, man, we had people crying. You had coaches that kind of knew what was going on, starting to tear up. Like, the plane ride was, I mean, it was silent. One, we were tired. Two, you're emotionally lost. But then there was a bunch of people that had an idea of what was coming on Monday.
Yeah, I don't think that was dissimilar to what UNM had a little bit. I
Yeah,
know
exactly with Richard.
it wasn't really entirely set yet because he didn't know which job it would be, but it was pretty certain that Patino was going to take take something, and all the guys, how the portal works. I imagine some of these guys already knew that they were where they were moving on to.
Yep.
So yeah, there was probably a real similar feeling, and it was really within, I guess, 48 hours of their loss to Michigan State that stuff started happening, and that you got CSU and New Mexico, probably those plane rides home. Like, I'm not on those flights, and it's a good thing because, like, I would have been depressed. It would have been good for a reporter to witness, but man, that would have been just depressing.
No, it was like that was hard. Like, the loss itself is hard, right? Especially lose at the buzzer. But then you compound it with change is coming. And it always happens in the spring, right? Like, especially nowadays, like, there's going to be change. But for that amount of change, that's what's hard. Like, you build a life with people for. Shoot, I was with Nika for 8 years, and then the rest of the staff, I was with Brian Cooley for 4 years, Joe Desmond for 7 years. So you build a family relationship. Like, they know my kids, they come to my house. So that makes it hard. And then you don't know what's going to happen to players. And like with New Mexico, you guys, nobody came back, right?
Nobody.
So I mean, those guys are flying home not knowing if I'm ever going to come back to Albuquerque again after having a great year, and you win the regular season, and then you just leave. And I think that's hard. There was no real closure to, I'm sure, for their season and our season. It kind of was just like, man, great year, and then everybody's gone.
Yeah, the trainer. The trainer's the only one back at UNM.
Yeah.
No strength coach, ops, office people, nobody. It did a complete turnover. I will transition there. That one of the people that was turned over from UNM's, I guess Patino's taking the job at Xavier and taking his whole staff for a little less than a day. Dave Pilipovich was a Xavier assistant coach, and he moved on to take a job with you. How did that come about? How well did you know Dave, I guess, before this came about? And look, man, it's a no-brainer. If you can get Pilipovich on your staff, you do. But like, how well did you know him beforehand?
Well, I mean, I think you just said it, Jeff. Like, that's the thing, is like, I don't know one person that's had a bad thing to say about Coach Dave. You just can't find them. And now there's some people that people will say that about too, that have no backbone and get nothing done either, right? Yeah. I don't want the Diet Coke guy that's just a good dude. Like, I don't need that. And that's not Dave. Like, Dave is a great dude that also knows basketball, that coaches guys hard, holds them accountable. The amount of detail that man has in his life, and obviously coming from Air Force, you probably have to, but the amount of detail he has in his life, not just basketball in the office, but his life, I know I needed that too. And so all the different aspects of who he is, I know I needed on my staff. And then adding to that he was a head coach at Air Force when we were starting the league as well. Loved what they did on offense. It is similar to how we play. They do a lot of similar things that we do offensively. You guys actually instilled some principles into your guys' offense in the last 2 years. So it made perfect sense for me. I didn't know if he was going to do it, but we got lucky enough that he's got grandkids in Colorado Springs. That was an easy sell, and that made it a heck of a lot easier for him to make that move. And then when you get to move to Fort Collins, it's hard to say no to that too. But I did. I got lucky because he could have gone to Xavier with Coach Patino, and obviously they're going to do a great job there. And the biggest reason I probably felt the most comfortable with Dave is there was a ton of connections to the New Mexico staff, actually. Like Coach Isaac Chu.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to put a pin in Pilipovich and get to Chu, but then I'm going to go back to something with Pilipovich. But yeah, tell people the connection you have with Coach Chu.
Yeah, so Coach Chu coached me in junior college at Indian Hills in Ottumwa, Iowa. And really, I give him a ton of credit because I didn't play a lot at Indian Hills, and he was always trying to fight for me to get on the court. At least that's what he says. I don't know if that's all true, but he literally was like, he was my right-hand man in terms of like helping me think about where I need to grow, where I need to get better. he told me I needed to leave, and I went to a different JUCO, and then the rest was history from there. But man, Coach Chu means a lot to me. It actually helped me not only in that moment, but then when I was deciding whether I wanted to coach or not, he kind of got the ball rolling with Coach Miles too at Nebraska, and kind of pushed for that as well. And then obviously Aaron Katsuma too. So you got two guys on staff that are like family to me that are praising. I already had these opinions about Dave. But then when you add that, because you don't know somebody until you work with them.
Exactly.
So having Chu and Aaron there, I mean, that made it that much easier. It wasn't even a decision. It was just, I was waiting for him to make the decision, to be honest.
Chu and Aaron too, by the way. And look, I've gotten to know a lot of assistant coaches through the years. In assistant coaches, as a reporter, if you can get to know the assistant coaches, it's usually a good thing, because the head coach isn't always. Look, man, when this is the first face you see after every loss, just like every win, and then I ask something stupid like, "Hey, you just lost. You want to tell me why? And can you explain yourself to me, the guy who isn't out there playing?" Like I can get that the head coach sometimes probably has had enough of me, but like the assistant coaches, they're if you can get in good with the assistants, like that's usually a really good way to get to know a program and the players and their families, all that kind of stuff. And I've been around a lot of assistant coaches. I really think that whole Patino staff and they're all future head coaches. Like Dave having been a former head coach, but like I think every one of them has some pieces that could make them head coaches at some point.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason usually why teams are consistently successful, and it's because of not only the head coach, right? It starts at the top, but is they have a great staff. Like every program that, look at our league. Like you look at San Diego State, like elite staff behind Dutcher, Leon and Boise State, elite staff behind Leon. You can go on down the line. Obviously, it's right there with New Mexico. It starts with Richard, but then you got Dave, who's a former head coach at Air Force, then was with the Spurs there in between.
Yeah.
Then Coach Chu's been everywhere and been successful. Aaron's obviously been at multiple places, having that relationship with Richard too already from Minnesota. There's a reason why they were successful, and it's not only because of Richard, but also the people he hired.
All right, I said I was going to put a pin in the Pilipovich thing. There's something I've sort of added to this Talking Grammar podcast just very recently. I stole it from another podcast I like. It's not a sports podcast, but it's this other podcast where it's actually Amy Poehler has a podcast called Good Hang, and I've watched a few episodes of it because I just do a lot of podcast stuff. Whoever that show's guest is, at the beginning of the show, she has somebody on that knows that person to basically say something, tell us something about that person, and always asks that person for, what's one question you would ask. So I've kind of stolen that idea, and now I'm trying to do as best I can with these shows a scouting report. I at least theme it with sports, right? So I got a scouting report on you, and I'm asking everybody that I do this with the same three questions. For you, I called up Dave Pilipovich, and Dave Pilipovich has given me a scouting report on you, and there's three questions I ask. The first question, and as we're recording this, when this show comes out, it will have already aired, I guess, for those either watching or listening to the podcast. First question I asked Dave was, what's one thing that everybody knows about Ali that everybody knows, or everybody should know? He did go with the obvious. He said the shot. He said, that shot, just, it's what we all know. It lives forever. So we've already talked about the shot, so I'm going to go to question 2.
Okay.
Question 1 is, what does everybody know or should know about him? Question 2, what does almost nobody know about him? What's something that people just don't know about him that you can share with us? His answer was your parents. He said, for those that don't know, his parents, tremendous people, tremendous coaches, and you kind of talked about this earlier too, that for those that don't know, like right now, you are not the most successful coach in your family. And he says you'll get there, but he says that their influence on you as parents, just as people, obviously, and as coaching, he said they're tremendous people and spoke really highly of your parents. Again, speaks to who Dave Pilipovich is, right? When I ask him a question about you and he finds a way to just make it really complimentary, but he praised your parents, man. Like, what is their influence on you as a person and as a coach?
Man, massive. I really would not be here today without them. Like, there's no chance. And I think that's not only because of what they taught me growing up, just as a kid and as a kid growing up in Pullman, Washington, but the experiences that I got to see from athletes and how you go about your business and how you take care of yourself and what does it mean to be a part of a community. It was amazing what they did at Washington State, and this is not a knock on Washington State at all, but it's not like Pullman, Washington's breeding a bunch of high major athletes and you're getting all these All-Americans every year. And for my parents to do what they did in 15 years at Washington State and go to, I believe it was 9 or 11 NCAA tournaments, I can't remember, went to 2 Elite Eights, a Sweet 16, had the National Player of the Year, Pac-12 Player of the Year, and this is when the Pac-12 for volleyball was the best conference in the country by far. It wasn't even close. And so to watch that growing up, that taught me everything I need to know about coaching, development, how you treat people. My dad was kind of the skills coach on the side that was doing all the skills work. He played volleyball for the Iranian national team. And then my mom was more of like the CEO, great with the boosters and donors, great in the community, great with the players psychologically, mentality-wise, X's and O's, game planning. So I took a little bit of something from them my whole life, just watching them. And then I used to go on recruiting road trips with them. And so I was recruiting when I was like 6. And I still remember this to this day. My mom always talks about this. There was this Brazilian girl they were recruiting that basically was a done deal. She's coming to Washington State. Her boyfriend was on the basketball team. Like, she wants to come. It was between them and like 3 high majors, like good programs. And my mom's like, we have to do this, like whatever. And I'm watching her and I'm like, I don't think she's good. And I'm like 8. I'm like, I don't think she's good. I don't know if she does good. I don't like her. And I've watched volleyball my whole life, so it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm 8. And I keep telling them like they shouldn't take her. And my mom's like, what? Like, she's literally between. It's like it'd be like us recruiting against Duke, North Carolina, and whatever, UCLA, and the kid wants to come to Colorado State, and I'm saying no. And so my parents are like, well, we like whatever. They take her. Ends up not playing for them basically for 4 years, like freeloader on scholarship, and doesn't play, doesn't end up good. So basically I learned recruiting, how to develop a program, community, how you build a whole staff together. I think they did an amazing job of, I remember parties growing up where the football coach, the basketball coach, the soccer coach, the tennis coach, they were all at my house. That's what I grew up. Like Jason Gesser, who played in the Pac-12, Washington State quarterback, playing the Rose Bowl. That was my babysitter. That's who like watched me. So I was lucky that I got to grow up around elite people, and I think that goes back to the whole adage of you become who you spend the most time with. Shit, I mean, I was with a Rose Bowl starting quarterback. The basketball team would come over and watch me and work out with me and play basketball with me. When I was in the gym, I would literally play basketball and do workouts with the WSU basketball players. And all of those experiences my parents put me in and let me experience on my own too. That's why I am where I am today.
How often, what's the influence now? Like, what's the family life, beyond the immediate family life now, or what's that like?
Lots of babysitting now. Because I have 4 kids, so they're over all the time. They watch our kids constantly. That influence is massive. It keeps them young also, obviously.
Do they live there in Fort Collins?
Yeah, they live 10 minutes from us. So they're at every game. Now they're at every practice too. But just having them there and being able to share those moments with them, and kind of, honestly, it's full circle now. Like, I went to their practices and watched. I didn't really watch them. I would go to the other gym and play basketball, but I was there. And now them coming back to watch me at practice, it really is full circle. I think in a year from now, when we're in the Pac-12 and we go to Washington State for the first time, that's going to be emotional, because that's what I grew up with. Like, that was from the time I was 1 to 15. Like, I was at every Washington State basketball game, because in Pullman there's nothing else to do anyways. But like, that's what I wanted to be. So I might be the only coach that's in the Mountain West right now that's going to the Pac-12 that's actually excited to go to Pullman, Washington.
It could be. Do they get a one veto now in your recruiting? If you bring a kid on campus that you think you really like that wants to come to CSU, do they get to pull the one veto card out from when you were 8 and said, look, it works sometimes?
I might let them. I might throw the video on for them and let them watch for a minute, get their opinion really quick, make sure we're all on the same page, so then they can come back at me and let me know that I don't know what I'm doing sometimes too.
That's awesome. Question 3 that I ask every one of these guys doing the scouting report, and this is again Dave Pilipovich, knowing the audience, right? I know there's going to be some CSU fans that watch this, but an awful lot of people that watch my podcast obviously are UNM fans.
Yep.
Dave Pilipovich's third question: what would you ask if you were me? What would you ask? And he said, well, when I got here, he put me in charge of scheduling. So I'd like you to ask him which current Mountain West teams are you going to make sure to keep on the non-conference schedule moving forward? And is there a team, down south that wears some red and has quite a few fans in a nice little arena that you want to be a part of your future scheduling when the Mountain West Pac-12 split happens?
Is that New Mexico State?
It might be. They do have a shared
word on here. No, we talked about that already, because now, especially in the Pac-12, now we're gonna have to play 14, I think, non-conference games too. Yeah. So we got to go find some really good games. But if we could keep that rivalry going with New Mexico, why wouldn't you? You're always going to be a good program. The investment from the university, the investment from the community, playing in the pit is one of the best atmospheres in the country. Like, I don't think you can just say the West Coast. Like, that's one of the best places to play in the country. So absolutely, like, I would love to keep that rivalry going, and it's an easy trip for both fan bases too. Like, I think that's the other piece of it. Also, it's not as far as people don't realize how close we actually are.
Yeah.
And so I think that's how you keep the rivalries going. I think that's what's the best thing about college sports is the rivalries. That's what people get into. Like, why do we care so much about the CSU basketball game when we go play Wyoming? Like, everyone else I know complains about going to play Wyoming because it's empty. For us, like, it is packed every time. Like, it is packed for us at home. It's packed for us on the road there. Like, that is a blast for us to play in that game. So absolutely, like, I'd love to. Eric's one of my good friends, actually. I'd love to keep that going forward and keep it a home and home. And then obviously it's in the works with Wyoming to keep that home and home series going in the non-conference too.
All right, I did not know what you just said there. Eric's one of your good friends?
Yeah, he actually, it was really random, but we were on a Zoom back during COVID. It was a random Zoom with some basketball coaches, and he was on there talking about his offense. Yeah. And I was on it, and I was a little assistant coach, just excited to be on a Zoom with some other coaches. And I just loved what he was talking about. And it was really similar to how we play and how we value players and whatnot. Like, it is really similar. And so I just called him after the Zoom, and we started talking, and we've kind of just stayed in touch ever since then. And it was pretty cool that I got the job, and then he got the job at New Mexico too, because 5 years ago, we were just talking ball screen offense and player movement, and I just thought he was a great person. And now he's the head coach at New Mexico, one of the best programs on the West Coast.
He has such a quiet confidence to what he's doing. Like, he believes in that system, right? Because he's had some success in it, and he's a smart guy, and he just has some kind of a quiet, calm demeanor about him that isn't what Pitino was like on TV or in interviews, right? And there's some fans here still, like, look, they're always going to love their Lobos, but they're anxious. They're like, well, wait, why isn't he more rah right now? And I'm like, guys, like, this guy just seems to really know his stuff, and like the way they put their team together, they're all on the same page with the recruiting and all that. And I do think Lobo fans are going to love him, but it's not quite it's not a Pitino on the radio, and it's not a Pitino kind of saying all these wonderful great things that he grew up learning from his dad. But I do think that the Lobos are going to like what Eric brings.
No, absolutely. There's going to be a little less sarcasm from Eric as opposed to Richard, but obviously it's always hard when you transition, though, because everyone loved Richard. When you win, everybody loves you. So, like, and Richard's he's an easy guy to like too, and I think that's the other piece of it. You win, Plus, he's an easy guy to like. It's hard to just move on from that. But I think once people get to know Eric more and realize his personality and what he's about, that's a great human being that also knows what he's talking about basketball wise.
Yeah, and they do. I think a lot of fans here like him. They're just a little. They're just still. They were used to 4 years of a guy that was building a program vocally and in the community the way Patino did too. So that kind of brings me back as I sort of start to wrap this up now. You get to run your program now, so you have a whole lot of influences. You had Nico running a program that got the community behind you guys. I imagine it would be pretty similar, but is there anything? I want to start with the differences. What might be one big difference now that this is your program? What might people see that's different, or is it going to be a lot of the? Probably will be a lot of the same. Is there going to be any difference?
You won't see me on the golf course as much as Nico because I'm not as good as Nico. But there's going to be some differences. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint all of it. Like, I'm sure there's a ton of differences, but I'm not measuring that. I'm not really, I don't really care, to be completely honest, because I like the way that we did do things. And that's part of the reason why I never left and was here with him was with him for 8 years, but 7 at Colorado State. And it was because of the way we did things in terms of caring about the community, caring about our players, teaching them more than just basketball. Basketball is just the reason why we're here. It's not what we do. It's not how we develop these young men. That's a completely different piece of this. And I think that's what we'll continue to do. I hope that looks the same. That was probably one of the best compliments that I think I got from a former assistant that now lives here named Sam Jones. He goes, it felt exactly the same, just with different faces. Yeah. And that's what I want. And I know things are going to be different. It has to be, right? I'm not Nico, and Nico's not me. And I think there's going to be nuances that are different. I can't tell them, to be honest, because I'm on a day-to-day basis trying to do what I want to do and build this program the way I think it can be built to have sustainable winning. But it is probably going to look very similar in a lot of different ways. And then I'm sure in 2 years from now, if I'm back on here with you again, Jeff, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is way different now. But I think that's the best part about coaching is every year is so different because you have different people in it. And I don't know, I'm going to have to coach this team different than I would have coached last year's team. And I think that's the beauty of it is you got to adjust to the people that you have in the building with you. And that's going to change our offense. That's going to change our defense. That's going to change our culture. From the base of what it is, though, it's going to be the same morals, same about people first. And then can we build the best team that we possibly can? So in a long answer, no, I don't think a lot's going to change. But I'm sure in January or February, whenever we play you guys, maybe we'll talk about that differently too.
You have a way to close up practice yet? I saw the season 1, episode 1 of your guys' thing, and you said you made a comment in there that's real. Like, Nico always seemed to know how to kind of end a practice. Like he could read the room. How are you ending practices? Has that come naturally to you, or was there a few awkward moments where like, okay, how do I wrap this up like Nico would have?
Yeah, because I always just think about that when Nico's in the huddle. I was like, man, what's he about to say right now? Because I don't know what I would say. And it did come more naturally than I thought, especially the ends of practices. I think that was easier. To be honest, though, like when I walk in the film room, that's when I get the most like, man, what am I going to say right now? Like I just saw these guys out here. I was just shooting with him. Like I've already shaken hands with everybody. Like there's no introduction. Like, hey, I'm Ali. That's the one I'm trying to still figure out. Like, do I joke with them? Do I mess with them? Do I just get right into it? I think that's the hard part. Even Randy Bennett, like I said that on the show that you're talking about. Like Randy Bennett came up to me, and it's funny. Everyone else, I ask everybody like what should I be prepared for? What do I not know that I should know? And then Randy was the first one that kind of hit on the things that I'm most nervous about. And it literally is like, I don't know what I'm going to do on the sidelines. I've always been this guy that crosses my legs and stands there. I'm not really a kneeler at times. I don't lose my mind. Well, at least right now I don't. Maybe I will in the games. But like, what am I going to do? Am I going to run up and down the sidelines? Am I going to sit there? I don't know.
Exactly.
Am I just going to hold the whiteboard so nobody can actually see me? I I don't know yet. And I think those are the things that I think about more than what press are we going to do? Because like that basketball stuff, that comes more naturally. But those things are the things that I'm most concerned about, or not even concerned, but just I don't know yet. And I think that's what I'm interested to see. And I guess I'll let you know on October 25th when we're going to play at Creighton.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll be sitting on the sidelines, be like, "This game doesn't count. This game doesn't count."
This game doesn't, right? No Nick Clifford on this team. No Isaiah Stevens. No Roddy. Or do you just, or maybe?
Yeah, we applied for an eighth year for Roddy and a seventh for Zay, but it got denied.
Which is weird because the NCAA seemed to be approving everything. But
exactly, that's what I was waiting on. But no, obviously no, we don't have those guys. But and I've always said that. Like, I don't know. My wife said that to me. I was like, I really do. I like this team a lot. We got a bunch of really good players. Yeah. I don't know if we have an alpha yet, and there's still so much time. Like that's not what I was looking for, trying to figure out this summer.
Sure.
We were trying to become the best team that we possibly could and get them as connected as possible. And to be honest, even when we were at Drake, we had a guy named Reed Timmer that scored 43 points in a game and had like 3 other 30-point games at Drake, and he was the 3rd leading scorer that summer for us going into that season. So I always remind our players that too. Like I'm not worried about that. I'm not looking for that. There's other stuff that we're focusing on right now. My wife always said this to me too. She's like, "Well, you didn't think no one said Nick Clifford was an NBA player last year going into the season. No one thought he was a first-round draft pick. Going into Roddy's junior year, no one said he was a first-round draft pick. So, and definitely nobody saw John Tonje as an NBA player when he signed up at Colorado State. And then signed up for New Mexico too for a little bit. But
almost about 36 hours maybe. Yeah. I don't even know if it really lasted 24 hours, but
yeah, it was a tough breakup. But I think that's the thing is like, I don't know yet. I do know they work hard. They're competitive. I really like them as people. Like I love them as people. We got the same type of people that we've always had. And so that excites me. And that piece I know gives us a chance. There's a lot of other things that got to go into it, but because we have the right people, they're competitive and they're willing to work and they're coachable. I know that's as good a starting point as you can start at. The rest, we'll figure it out as it goes.
All right, man. Well, like you said, if in a couple of years we're doing this again, like I'm hoping you're still, things go well enough where you're still a head coach, not a financial advisor. Things haven't gone that south in just 2 years. So, look, man, there weren't a whole lot of no-brainers this offseason, but I do think Colorado State did 2 of them, and it was you getting the head coaching job and then you getting Dave Pilipovich on staff. So I do think those were 2 of the no-brainers of the whole offseason for the Mountain West, and it seems right, man. It seems like it's a fit, but now you got to go do it, and you know that better than anybody because you've been around coaching and you've been around basketball so long. So I appreciate you for coming on, man. This is fun, and I do hope there's UNM and CSU beyond this coming year because I do think both fan bases like it enough to keep it going.
No, absolutely, and I think that's with college sports and everything that's changing. The more rivalries we can keep, the more pageantry we can add to the game again. Right. I think that's what makes it special. I want to go back to the pit when it's sold out. I want New Mexico fans to come up here and help sell out Moby Arena too, and we get Wyoming back on the schedule. Like that's what makes basketball fun. But I appreciate you having me.
I was going to say, you are going to walk up and down that visitor's bench in the pit now, and you don't get to sit down and hide behind the whiteboard with whatever message you have on there. You're now the target of that student section. So
yeah, when we were down 20, I was holding the whiteboard right here the whole time. Like I was out of that game. Like once we got to 20 in that last game, I was like, let me get out of here. We don't need play calls. We're done. Now I just got to stand up there and take it.
Look, man, I appreciate you for doing this. It went nice and long. Like the good ones do. So I appreciate you for giving me that much time. I know this is about the only downtime you guys as coaches have now that the spring isn't really a downtime anymore. Yeah. So
that's crazy. I don't think the spring, it used to be like this literally is the only break you have as a college basketball coach. And like, to be honest, it's not a break though, because you're still recruiting because you have visits coming up in the next 2.5 weeks. So there's really not really a downtime.
It used to kind of be a window at the beginning of August, and then that window right after the season Well, that window's gone now, and now this window being the only window, like you said, man, it's still a little bit of a window. But anyway, I do appreciate you taking the time to do this in that little bit of a window.
No, absolutely, Jeff. I appreciate you. And I said this to you earlier, but you do a great job covering the Mountain West, college basketball. And like, I think every fan base, it says a lot about you that every fan base knows who you are and knows where you are when you're at the games. And I think not only that they appreciate what you do, but what you bring to the Mountain West and how much notoriety you bring. I think it's limitless, and I think it's. I've always enjoyed watching what you do from afar as an assistant. Just don't kill me as a head coach now.
Oh, it's gloves are off. The gloves are off. It's on now. So, hey man, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, thanks, Jeff.
All right, well, there you go. That was my conversation with Colorado State men's basketball coach Ali Farokhmanesh, the new guy in the league. Really, there's 3 new coaches in the league. 2 of them are first-time head coaches at the current schools, and Josh Passner at UNLV. You got Ali up at Colorado State. Bryce Drew is not a first-time or first-season coach at Grand Canyon, but Grand Canyon is a new school in the Mountain West. So those are your 3 newcomer head coaches to the league this coming season. There's another podcast on the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network that I want you to check out. It's another one I've started, much shorter snippets, and it's called What's Up in 505? Sports Stories with Albuquerque Ties, told in 5 minutes and 5 seconds. Here's episode 4 now with UNM Lobo women's soccer coach Heather Dyke. All right, Coach Heather Dyke joins me here on What's Up in 505. This is the Journal's new sports podcast, which is 5 minutes and 5 seconds, telling you sports stories with Albuquerque connections. Coach, are you ready to go?
I'm ready. I want to know what's up in the 505. I'm in.
Let's see what you can tell people about what's up in the 505. All right, the clock is running. Coach, you, as we record this is Thursday, August 7th, and we are this will be on for a while, obviously, but tonight you have an exhibition game. The season is upon us. Right before we signed on, you said you're preseason tired. What's the difference between preseason tired and midseason tired?
Yeah, preseason tired is just constant go. I mean, the players aren't in school yet, and you get to spend all this time with them, and you're really trying to bring the new players into what you've already established and also push the returners, and it's just it's such a buzz. It's super exciting, but it's definitely a little bit fatiguing.
And then the midseason tired obviously probably has more to do with how you guys are doing.
Yeah, mid-season tired can be a different bag of tricks. You know, there's mid-season tired where you're desperately trying to find a win, and there's mid-season tired where you're winning a lot of games and you're trying to, keep that rolling. But it's to me, it's the best kind of tired because you get to be fully invested with a group of people.
Preseason poll came out yesterday, coaches poll, 13 teams in the Mountain West. Really unique, in my opinion, that a team, UNM, gets 2 first-place votes and is picked 7th. So that tells me that the point totals are all over the board. Some teams, some coaches may think you guys are, obviously at least 2 of them think you're good enough to win it, and some other coaches must have had you pretty low to sort of counteract and get you the 80 points. Is that fair?
Well, we thought it was odd too. Like clearly a lot of people thought we were going to do really poorly, and it's flattering that 2 people thought that we were going to be good enough to win it. And I think probably everybody's right. Like it's you get to have your opinion going into preseason, and the past 2 years we haven't gotten the results that we wanted. I mean, I think we still played some pretty soccer, but we didn't get the results. And so preseason and poll is the opinion of coaches, and you take it in, and it can be a little bit of fuel for the fire. But until you finish on top again, I think it's all fair.
Glenn Rosales did do an article in the Journal the other day, and he kind of noted that you guys, you were quoted in it, telling him that most of your players the last couple of years that were getting experience were freshmen and sophomore. You got a lot of game minutes logged by some underclassmen that are now juniors, now some seniors, I'm sure too. How experienced is this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that we feel pretty excited about is that we do return a lot of experience. And that's not always by class, but it's by minutes played and losing hard games and winning big games and playing on the road and split weekends and all these things that can be really fatiguing in soccer. So it's their turn to step up now. And I mean, even this season, we only have 2 seniors. So we are that young the past few years. And hopefully that learning curve leads itself to, a new excitement and a new buzz and another team that can go on a run the way we did a few years ago.
transfer portal world hasn't hit you guys too hard?
No, thankfully. I mean, every year 1 or 2 players want more playing time, or, there's a better fit somewhere else, and that's totally fine. But we're pretty proud of that. I mean, I think our players love being a part of this university and love being a part of this program, and they want to be here. And I think especially in a year when you didn't get the results that you wanted, that you still have that many players that are invested in changing it and flipping it instead of running from it. It's a reflection of the culture.
All right, 3 players per team were named to the watch lists, the preseason watch list for you guys. A couple locals, Kennedy Brown from Volcano Vista, Nicole Anderson, Del Norte, I believe.
That one's a tricky one. She's actually Del Norte, California.
Del Norte, California. So not 2 locals. Well, there you go. That's me thinking I saw Del Norte, and I'm like, I don't remember her, but it says Del Norte. There you go. So I stand corrected. But Nicole Anderson, Kennedy Brown, Fiona Jenkins were the 3 named to the watch list. All, I'm sure, very deserved. Anybody else that should be kind of on the watch list for fans?
Yeah, quite a few. I mean, unfortunately, we've had 2 pretty significant injuries going into the season. So our starting goalkeeper and our leading goal scorer are both out for the year, which is an adjustment, but it's soccer, and it's all college sports. You're going to have injuries, and it's important that the next player up is ready to roll. And I think we have that. I think Mercedes Morris, who's a local, has been really good in preseason. She had a great spring. And I'm hopeful that for her senior year, she can produce the way that we know she's capable of. Nicole's been outstanding. Alyssa Welch has been outstanding. Some of our freshmen have been really exciting. We return an all-freshman team, Ashley Moody as a center defender. So we have experience and good players in every position. And now it's, you need a little bit of luck, and you need those players to flip the tide in big moments.
I'm going to ask you 2 more quick ones as this clock winds down. People that haven't been yet have no excuse financially anymore. Free tickets, it's free admission to soccer. What's the sell for somebody who has not seen you guys play? What's the sell?
Yeah, come out, come meet the team, come on a night game, come experience the environment. And I think more than anything else, there's just an electricity, in those games, and you can feel it when you're a fan, you can feel it when you're on the field. So hopefully people feel that, and they come to games and get to know our players and want to come back.
The clock is running out. I will take the blame on this one because I do want to ask you one last thing. You said come out, get to know the team. Getting to know you a little bit, non-soccer. What's your release? What's one thing you're doing when you're not doing soccer?
If I'm not playing soccer, I'm outside. Yeah, if I'm not coaching or watching soccer, I'm outside. I love New Mexico. I love hiking. I love finding new trails and different places. And I think that's my way to reset.
Pretty good place to be then.
Beautiful place to be.
Coach, I appreciate it. Good luck this season, and hopefully we'll have you on. Maybe you can think of a player or 2 that we can get on this podcast as well this season.
Anytime, Jeff. We'd be happy to send them.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. All right, there you go. What's up in 505, the latest edition. I actually have another edition that I just recorded Monday afternoon with Bethany Miller, KOAT's former KOAT news anchor, who's out doing big things back east now, back in her home area, and covering Penn State football, among other things. So she's doing great things. Glad she caught up with us and did the What's Up in 505. Thank you to Heather Dyke for doing her episode of What's Up in 505. And thank you to Ali Farokhmanesh and Dave Pilipovich for today's Talking Grammar episode. Again, hope you like all these podcasts. Subscribe if you can, abqjournal.com/subscribe. Until next time, guys, thanks for joining us.